and blessings. Welcome to another edition of Real Life with Real Talk. I am your girl, Real Talk Tiff.
And I'm Yurima Karama. How you doing?
And today we are just going to have a conversation about domestic violence. But it's not what you think. Today we're going to talk more about those women that initiate the domestic violence in their relationships. Statistics show that more than 830,000 men fall victim to domestic violence every year. And because they're men, I'm sure there's a lot more, but they're just not speaking up.
It's a macho thing.
Right.
It's a macho thing. And I think that there's a few factors that go into this. You've had the advent of the women's rights movements, the feminism movement, and so unequal pay in the workplace, sort of these factors that go into this. A high percentage of domestic violence cases, the majority are reported by women.
True.
And so, and there was a time that I think in this country, when you talk about the line genealogy moving from the 1800s to the 1900s into the 2000s, where prior to the women's rights, there was a lot of domestic violence going on in the home that was going unreported against women.
It was just the norm.
Exactly. And so, and then so as we start talking, moving into the feminism movement, not to say that or to downplay those violence issues that happen in the home against women, but also we tend to overlook or minimize the violence that happens against men. And I think that it's underreported due to the fact, again, machoism. I'm supposed to be a man, so I'm definitely not going to speak
They don't want
upon.
to be embarrassed. They don't want to look like, I mean, I'm not trying to be profane, but they don't want to look like a bitch in a situation, as they would say.
Well, exactly. But even more prevalent than that, I think, is the fact: will I be taken serious? You know, if I call the police, will I be taken serious?
You know, with all of the technology and the way that everybody's catching things on video now, I'm seeing more and more videos of violent women violent with other men, women against each other. Women are losing their minds out here, and it's not even a race thing because the videos are coming from everywhere. I've seen a video not too long ago where there were two ladies in a parking lot and they were being belligerent towards a man, and he was really trying to back up, like, okay, you don't want to do this. And they kept jumping in his face, and the woman was trying to like mug him in his face, and he kept pushing back, but he didn't want to hit her, and she finally slapped him, and he hauled off and slid her across the parking lot. And then it was, oh my God, I can't believe you hit her. And I'm like, well, you were attacking him for close to 10 minutes.
Yeah.
At what point is a man supposed to say, okay, I'm gonna hit you back?
Yeah.
Or is it right? What is a man supposed to do in that scenario?
I think it comes down to discipline. The less discipline you have, the quicker you are to react. It also comes down to instinct. I mean, a person hits you. I didn't see the video. I haven't seen that particular video, but I have seen videos where if you stand and argue and engage, eventually things are going to go further. So I was in a relationship many years ago, and one of the things is that, and I come to find out later that her belief is that, you know, if we weren't fighting, then you didn't love me. And I was the type, I would walk away. I'm leaving. I'm getting my coat and stuff, and I'm bouncing because I don't have the time to do it. She wanted to engage on a physical level, and so.
So you said when you're not fighting, she didn't just mean if you're not going to argue with me, you don't care.
Right.
If you don't put your hands on me,
exactly,
you don't care.
And so.
Wow.
Because I knew that when an argument would start, I'm out.
Right.
Because I know what it's going to lead to. And so I think that if he stood there with women jumping in his face, I mean, it's turn and leave, bounce. Because once you continue to engage, you continue to stand there, you know that things are going to escalate.
Yeah, this
And
is
so
true.
and so, you know, I'm not going to stand there and take the hit.
Okay, so what if it's an out of nowhere scenario? Maybe she comes home with an attitude, or, you know, you might walk into a situation where she's arguing with someone else and then just turns all the energy on you. Is it ever okay for a man to hit a woman?
The politically correct answer is no.
This is real life.
This is
with
real
talk.
life with real talk.
So,
I think that I personally don't think that it's okay to ever hit a woman. My personal view, but I think that there are cases where if she has to be subdued, and I mean, in most cases, the man is going to, and this is not to denigrate or take anything away from the woman. We understand the strides that women have made, but I think in most cases the man is stronger than the woman. So
usually,
to
yes.
subdue her, I think is very appropriate. I don't think it's ever appropriate to outright just hit a woman. Now, I mean, there are exceptions to every rule, but I think
Yes.
that to subdue her, if she's getting wild and belligerent, and you know that this is going to escalate into something, grab her and subdue her. You need to calm down.
yes.
You know, but I mean, to outright hit. No, I don't ever see a situation where that's appropriate. I think the man, it's kind of like, and I don't want to go into the police thing, but it's kind of like somebody has to always be the bigger adult, the more intelligent, the more show a little bit more resolve than the person who's inflamed. Because if both people are inflamed, you know what happens.
Right.
So
and I mean, I know I put you on the spot, but I was the little girl, teenager who grew up fighting boys, you know, and I mean fighting boys, like we going fisticuffs in the street, fighting boys. So I don't know if they were taught not to, but I wasn't that little girl that really left them any choice, because it got to the point where we were angry enough that it was going to be a fight, then I was going to fight. And I didn't care if it was girl or boy. But now that I'm a mom raising boys and a little girl, my perspective on whether or not the hitting be going on between the gender lines is different. And I think my mister agrees with me in that we're not teaching our sons to go around hitting on little girls. We'll teach them to defend themselves.
yeah, absolutely.
But the first thing we're trying to teach them is to get out of the situation so it doesn't get that far. But if you're outright being attacked, you have the right to defend yourself regardless of who it is. It's just, how can you do that without the backlash? Because even if she hit you first and she hit you second and she hit you 10th, the one time the little boy turns around and hit that little girl, everyone's going to say, oh my God, I can't believe you hit her. So I'm asking you, you know, where do you draw the line between being abused and defending yourself as a man?
Well, Tiff, it's interesting because first of all, your mister
You
is
didn't know
not
I was a roughneck, did you?
No, I kind of did. But first of all, your mister is not a small guy.
No, he's
So,
not.
by
He's
any
6'5",
means. Yes.
probably
So,
2. Yeah.
So if you engage him,
Which I never have. We
okay,
don't-
but
we
if
don't
you did,
have
if
that
you
relationship.
did, I can't imagine that being a good scenario with him putting his hands on you. You know, now also I can't imagine the aftermath of that as well. So there's two sides to the coin. I can't imagine him engaging you 6'5", 250 or better. You know,
Right.
but I can't imagine him going to sleep after that either. So
No.
there's. But
I think
mean,
we have an understanding.
yeah, I think you had. I think a good narrative was when you had the lady with the football player in the elevator. I think his name was Rice. He's played for the Baltimore Ravens, and
I know which scenario.
yeah, and I think she spits on him, and he hauls off and knocks her out. Should she have spit on him? I mean, first of all, if you're my lady, you're my queen, and you spit on me, that right there is probably enough to tell me we probably shouldn't be together. Because
that's
if
a deeper issue than that
if
argument.
you're spitting on me, then that says that you don't respect me enough. I mean, for a person to spit. But did he have to knock her out? And so that's my point. It's kind of like, okay, you're the man. And she was going off, but he's a big guy. He's a big guy, and this is a situation where subdue you.
Right.
At least until we get out of this elevator. I'm gonna subdue you. You need to calm down. And as a matter of fact, we need to reevaluate this relationship because you just spit in my face. So,
and it's never okay to abuse someone. Make that clear. I just don't think people take the time to look at the background of a person, because up until I knew I was going to be a mother, I had a violent temper. I went from 1 to 100 in a matter of seconds once those buttons were pushed in a situation. You know, without giving too much away, I didn't know I was pregnant with my firstborn yet. And I was in an altercation that led to a young lady going to the hospital at my hands because she pushed all the right buttons. You know what I mean?
right.
And it was finding out that I was going to be a mother that led me to want to figure out what my problem was. But even now, there are some scenarios, especially as it relates to my children, where that is right here.
Right.
You know, I could,
Yeah.
and people don't know my background to that extent. So when someone goes to engage a person, if you don't know that person, you don't know what you're about to get yourself into.
Oh, absolutely.
But worse, if you do know that person and you know their background, you know they came up in a rough situation, and you still engage them to the point of violence, male or female, I kind of feel like if you know that person, you're asking to get knocked out. And people don't take that into account. You know, if you know that person had a rough upbringing, they're from the hood, they had to fight for everything they got, and then you engage them to the point of a fight, male or female, you're looking to get knocked out. So what is a person supposed to do if they're the one on the receiving end? If I'm the man and this person knew that I grew up watching my mom get knocked around, and I got knocked around, and my first response is to hit, why would you start a fight with me?
Well, I think that and as it pertains to domestic violence in the home situation, I don't think that just starts out of nowhere. I think that is there. So if we're talking about a violent woman, and that's what we're talking about. That's what this segment entails, is a violent woman. To me, she's going to be violent regardless of who she's with. So now if she's with a passive, maybe not so much a passive, but non-aggressive male who, you know, is like, has been brought up different, who doesn't retaliate back, but feels maybe embarrassed to report this, or feels like he's going to keep this quiet because friends and family will look at him as a punk, or you know, he doesn't want to go through the backlash of, what, your woman?
You let some chick beat up on you, man? You know, what's wrong with you?
Right, and so but she's gonna be violent regardless,
right?
Because maybe that's how she was brought up. So I think that a lot of these scenarios, they just go unreported. Now, the gentlemen or men that hit back, I'm saying for me personally, I think that there are other ways to. There's always something that leads to something, or something that maybe you could have done. Now, there are always those situations where you just can't. You happened upon this situation, or you just came in and she was tripping, and
Yeah.
damn, it just always hit. It just hits you. But I think that there are other situations where you just, once you know the person, you can't engage. Now, if you don't know the person, I mean, you know, I mean, and you hit back, it's instinct.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try not to.
Okay.
That's just, but that's how I was brought up. I don't think it's appropriate to hit a woman. I just don't. Are there cases where it can happen? Absolutely.
Like you said, there's always an exception to the rule.
Yeah. So.
All right. Well, that is Real Life with Real Talk. Peace and blessings.
Peace.